I want you to really think about this for a second. It's a thought experiment from the social psychologist Jonathan Haidt. So imagine some company offers your child a one-way ticket to Mars. They say, hey, kids adapt better. But the risks, they're enormous. We're talking cosmic radiation, potential bone deformities, and absolutely zero safety research. So would you let them go? Of course not, right? It's completely insane. And yet, this is the exact risk Haidt argues we've already taken with our children right here on Earth.
You see, in a lot of ways, we've already sent our kids to a new planet, a digital one. This is our breakdown of Jonathan Haidt's incredible work, The Anxious Generation, which digs into how this great rewiring of childhood is causing a massive epidemic of mental illness.
Okay, so let's start with the evidence, because something went terribly, terribly wrong for young people, and it happened with just shocking speed. We're going to unpack what happened and, more importantly, why it happened.
Just look at this. The data shows this startling trend that really explodes in the last decade. Since the early 2010s, rates of major depression among U.S. teens have just skyrocketed, and you can see it right here in the chart. While it's affected all teens, the impact on girls has been absolutely profound. I mean, this isn't some minor shift. It's what some call a fundamental collapse in mental well-being for an entire generation.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. A common response to this is, well, maybe kids are just more willing to talk about their feelings now. But the data, it tells a very different story. This isn't just about kids talking more. We're seeing this in hard behavioral numbers. Emergency room visits for self-harm, especially for girls who are preteens, have shot through the roof. Hospital admissions for self-injury are way up. And tragically, suicide rates have climbed not just in the US, but in the UK, Australia, and other similar countries. This is a very real, very measurable crisis.
So that leads us to the million-dollar question, right? What was the trigger? What on earth changed so profoundly in the lives of young people right around that specific time?
Well, Haidt has a name for it. He calls it the Great Rewiring. This was a period where technology didn't just add to childhood, it completely replaced the very nature of it. And the speed of this change was just breathtaking. Between 2010 and 2015, the entire toolkit of being a teenager was just rewired. Instagram launched, and suddenly the new front-facing cameras turned the phone into a mirror for constant public performance. Snapchat came a year later. By 2015, the hardware, the smartphone itself, was in nearly every single teenager's pocket. In just 5 years, the world teens lived in was completely and totally transformed.
So what did this new world actually replace? Well, it replaced what we used to just call childhood, a play-based childhood. This was a childhood defined by unsupervised, real-world experiences. You know, kids learned social skills through risky, child-led play. But the phone-based childhood, that's all about virtual interaction, being overprotected from physical risks, but completely underprotected from virtual ones. And social learning isn't led by friends anymore, it's led by algorithms. And if you want to see the impact in one stark, simple chart, here it is. This chart shows the percentage of U.S. students who hung out with their friends almost every day, right across that same period of the Great Rewiring. And the result? It plummeted. I mean, this wasn't some slow, gradual shift. It was a cliff. A whole generation moved away from real, face-to-face contact and into the virtual world. Okay, so we've got the what and the when, but the really crucial part is the how. How does a phone-based life actually cause this mental health crisis? Haidt breaks it down into 4 foundational harms. First up, social deprivation. Kids are spending way less time face-to-face, and they're replacing that rich, in-person interaction with the really shallow, kind of fake communication you get on social media. Second, sleep deprivation. Teens read like 8 to 9 hours of sleep, but phones in the bedroom are stealing it, which is absolutely devastating for a developing brain. Third is attention fragmentation. That constant buzz and ding of notifications just shatters your ability to focus, making deep thought pretty much impossible. And finally, the big one, addiction. These platforms are not neutral tools, they are engineered from the ground up to be compulsive. And this addiction, it's not an accident, it's a feature. Platforms use this really powerful psychological trick called variable ratio reinforcement. It's the exact same principle that makes slot machines in Vegas so addictive. You know, you pull the lever not knowing if you'll win, and that unpredictability is what keeps you pulling it again and again. Social media is the same thing. You pull down to refresh the feed not knowing if you'll get a like or a new comment, so you just keep refreshing over and over and over. And this quote from Haidt it hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? We've swapped real communities for these digital networks, and the result is a generation that is, ironically, more connected but also more alone than ever before.
All right, so the diagnosis is grim, I get it. But this isn't a story without hope. In fact, the whole second half of Haidt's argument is focused on a clear, actionable path forward.
And the core philosophy of the solution is really to just flip our entire approach. For decades, we have been obsessed with physical safety, which led to overprotecting kids in the real world. But while we were doing that, we left them completely unprotected from the very well-documented harms of the virtual world. The goal now is to reverse that imbalance.
So, to counteract those 4 foundational harms we talked about, Haidt proposes 4 parallel reforms. It's a really elegant, symmetric solution. Number 1, no smartphones before high school. Let's give them basic phones that just call and text. 2, no social media before 16. Let their brains get through that really vulnerable phase of puberty first. 3, phone-free schools, from the first bell to the last, to allow for actual focus and social interaction. And number 4, radically more unsupervised play and independence to build that real-world confidence and competence.
Now, a lot of parents hear this and they think, I totally agree, but I can't be the only one. My kid will be left out. And that feeling is real. It's a classic collective action problem. When every parent is scared of their own kid being excluded, the collective result is that all the kids get these devices way too early, which leads to a worse outcome for everyone.
But here's the beautiful thing about a collective action problem. The solution is right there in the name, collective action. This means that none of these reforms are actually that radical or that hard to do if we do them together. If a whole bunch of parents in a school or a town agree to wait, all that pressure on any one family just vanishes. The norm can shift, and believe me, it can shift really, really quickly.
Which brings us all the way back to where we started. We sent a generation to Mars, a disembodied, virtual world they were never evolved to handle. They may not be physically on another planet, but they're not fully present with us here on Earth either. So the question Haidt leaves us with is a powerful one. How do we bring childhood and our children back home?